we can create devices to examine our own consciousness, and we can create Grand Theft Auto, right? And we can create all of these amazing worlds that those beetles never have to live in. And so we can create religion if we want to, right? We can create corporate financial structures surrounding God, and that makes us more powerful than God, right? However, there is this other consciousness, which I believe is truth with a capital T. How do we get from this evolutionary way of thinking to an understanding that, guess what, as your book talks about, this is all a very, very beautiful, interesting, complicated illusion of our own perception?
For those who say that humans have all this advanced, sophisticated abilities, I say we do, and let's use them right now in our evolutionary arguments. So let's use those advanced abilities to understand Darwin's theory. And the mathematics of Darwin's theory says are these functions. They shape your sensory systems. They shape your behavior. They shape the structure of your sensory systems. If you want to claim that our sensory systems have been shaped by evolution to see the truth, and the payoff functions must have information about that truth, must be this is a technical term, they must be homomorphisms of the structure of the world. So whatever true structures there are in the world have to be not lost by the payoff functions, because the payoff functions are the things that are guiding the evolution of our senses. When you just look at current evolutionary theory and you ask it, so what restrictions do you put on these payoff functions? And there's no part of the theory that says this is the class of payoff functions that you must use. They just say there is some payoff function. Figure it out, whatever it might be in your context. From that, I have to consider the set of all possible payoff functions. So we do that, and we published a couple of papers. This is with Chetan Prakash, a mathematician. This mathematics, I can have ideas in this area, but I can't prove them. But Chetan can. And what we published, and with some other co-authors, is proof that essentially the probability is zero. A randomly chosen payoff function will have any information about the structure of reality. So this is why I'm being very, very careful. I'm saying, let's look at Darwin's theory in its current framework. Darwin's theory in its current formulation in evolutionary game theory puts no restriction on the payoff functions. Okay, look at the payoff functions. I ask what percentage of them tell me about the truth. 0%. 0% of the payoff function could shape me to see the truth. So I conclude on current Darwin's theory, the probability is zero that any sensory system has ever been shaped to see the truth. Now, you might say, well, we should change the theory. Please do. Good luck. It's not easy to change Darwin's theory. And what you'd have to do is give us a principled reason why you pick this set of payoff functions. What set of payoff functions are you going to choose? What's the principled reason for it?
When you think about like symbiotic relationships, and when you think about, what it means to be part of a community, right? Which a lot of people would say, oh, religion helps you be part of a community, and then you do good, and then you get, not my particular religion, but, then you get redeemed, right? And you get saved, right? That's our way of trying to place kind of a truth, right, on a payoff function. So, and, this is true of every organized religion, as my teenager was reminding me this holiday season. Anytime someone's passing a basket, right, in your church, in your synagogue, right, you're engaging in a social experiment of what does it cost, right, to be part of a system that tells you we have the truth. So what is the other side of this? So if this is the Darwinian way and the sort of evolutionary game theory way of saying, no, the sensory systems did not evolve for us to have any understanding about truth, what would you say about especially traditions that are thousands of years old that say, oh, God has been talking to us this whole time. We just have forgotten how to listen, right? Because we're so consumed with buildings and cars and things like that. Is that possible, that there was a time, or am I just romanticizing, am I Margaret Meading it? Am I just sort of romanticizing the time when, life was simpler and then everybody was spiritual and it was all just like kumbaya all the time? Is that a possibility for evolution that technology then has interfered with?
I think, again, Steven Pinker has done some research on this that's quite interesting. And he's got some books where he looks at this, and the idea that the noble savage kind of idea, but he's done a really good job to make the point that in some sense, with the evolution of of modern societies, the actual per capita homicide rates have gone down. And so we're actually, we look at, World War I and II with horror and so forth, but when you look at the big picture, Pinker points out that in fact, with modern societies, the Enlightenment values that have really led to modern society and a great lessening of human suffering and so forth. So yeah, there could, of course, be individuals in the past. I mean, Jesus and Buddha and perhaps Muhammad and so forth that were individual examples of wonderful lifestyles. But if you look at the history of religion itself, it's not that great, right? There's lots of wars have been done in the name of religion. Galileo was imprisoned, wrongly. So we have to be very, very careful. That's why I want science and religion to work.
Yeah, I'm talking sort of let's go before 1000. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking like very like old school.
Right. My guess is that if you look back there, you're going to find all sorts of evidence of pretty nasty behavior of humans to humans.
Yeah, no, and I wasn't trying to sort of candy coat that. I'm just saying that it's interesting that conversations about truth that we're having in modern times about stepping outside of a scientific framework and stepping into a more spiritual kind of opening, that is in the literature of many religious traditions for thousands of years. And, I come from the Jewish tradition. The Kabbalists were very, very dialed into many things that the Greeks were also dialed into in terms of, pre-death practices and meditative states and really like tripping outside of this consciousness. Even some of the meditation that was done that we know about from thousands of years ago, it was practicing ego death. It was practicing leaving your body, right?
Yeah, no, I think that there has been a lot of that, and a lot of it I think was very insightful. And there were individuals, probably that at the foundations of various religions who really, in some sense, had taken off the headset more than most everybody had, and they were seeing beyond. And then the followers hadn't taken off their headset, and you get the thing devolving, right? So that seems to be the pattern. You have a Buddha, and things are great for a while, and then it devolves. You have Jesus, and things devolve.
It's always the publicists and the managers who make the trouble.
Yeah, it's up to each of us to take off our own headset, And so I think that it has been done in the past, but when you look at the history, I see individuals that took off the headset and learned. Love your neighbor as yourself really is deepest thing that you could do, because your neighbor is yourself. The headset illusion that I'm separate from you is the fundamental illusion. I'm not separate from you. There's a deep consciousness that's looking at itself through a Hoffman avatar and a Jonathan avatar and a Mayim avatar and so forth.
Can you talk a little bit about what, collective consciousness is one of these phrases that gets thrown about in a lot of, as you call it, the hand-wavy communities. But can you talk about what it might be like to picture exactly what you said in a practical and very grounded way? What does it mean to say that part of the reality that we construct is that we are separate from one another?
Right. So this gets into the theory I'm working on right now. The context